Hello friends, Jenkins Dota here, bringing you another Dota 2 video on behalf of DotaAlchemy.com, and this is going to be part of the How to Increase Your Rank in Solo Queue video series. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about what actually makes a good Dota player. This video is mostly a response to the fact that I get a lot of angry people in my pubs complaining and saying something along the lines of, I'm really good at Dota, guys, but I'm only low rated because I got these bad teammates in every game, and I get angry and I can't control myself, or my mechanics are weak, or I'm not trying, etc., etc. The list really goes on. Basically, people are typically using this sort of rationale to justify their ability to criticize other players who are higher rated than them, and this is especially true for people that watch professional games. Basically, it boils down to you may be higher rated than me, but it's not because you're better than me at Dota, and a lot of people use that logic in pubs when they're flaming people. But in my opinion, as it stands right now, barring professional players, your rating is a great metric of your skill at the game. Because it is the game. Let me explain with a little bit of a story. At some point within the last 6 months or so, I was floating around top 300 to 500 rank in North America, and I had this just awful string of luck where I would finish games, I would go whine to my girlfriend about how unbelievably bad my luck is. Woe is me. My life sucks. I can't believe how bad my luck is. I'm wasting all this time. People are just feeding couriers. I would compare myself to a lot of these other offlaners in North America and wonder why the hell they don't get this sort of bad luck that I'm getting. I mean, when I lane against these other offlaners, I'm certainly not better than them, but I can hold my ground. We're pretty equivalent in terms of skill. We have a pretty similar impact in a lot of the games that we play. So what the hell differentiates me from them? It's got to be luck, right? Well, the truth is, it is kind of luck in one sense, but it's more so these players and how they respond to bad luck compared to how I do. I've watched a lot of other offlaners play in pubs, and what I've noticed is that a lot of these guys have some sort of coping mechanism for dealing with horrible luck that everybody experiences in a game of Dota. Courier feeders, griefers, boosters, things like that. The difference between me and them is that I could not cope with these sorts of issues. The fact that I had to go bitch to my girlfriend about how unlucky I was is a clear indicator that I was letting those games get to me. So if I continued playing, I'd be thinking about all the MMR that I unfairly lost, and I'd play so much worse than I would have if I wasn't thinking about that. You know what I noticed these other offlaners would do after they had disastrous games? They'd go offline. They'd just take a break from Dota, or they'd go into the next game and not let it affect them because they had a way to cope with it, whether it be due to confidence, ego, apathy, or whatever. Then it dawned on me. Sure, mechanically, I'm on par with these other players. I can lane against them. But they are better than me at Dota. Because dealing with these things is part of being good at Dota. Everybody, including me, has to deal with the same matchmaking algorithm, and the same players, the same pressure, and so forth. There's no special pool for talented players like Arteezy and Sumail. They don't have it easy. It's just as hard for them. They're just top 10 rated because they're amazing at dealing with all of the aspects of Dota, and also be mechanically very skilled. And when I was able to properly internalize that all the players in the top 100 were actually better than me, despite being mechanically similar to me, I got competitive, and it became so much easier for me to fix my more meta problems involving my Dota play because I wanted to be better. And I quickly shot up to top 100 within a few weeks. The first step in fixing a problem is realizing that you have it, they say, for good reason. So, with that being said, what actually makes a good Dota player? Number 1, mechanical skill and good muscle memory. This one is pretty obvious, and I don't want to delve into it too much because this is typically what people consider to be skill at Dota. So really everybody already has this on their list. There's not much to talk about, but I do want to say that players like Arteezy and Sumail are really great at Dota because they have everything that I'm going to mention in this list, plus obscene mechanical skill. Their muscle memory is near perfect in terms of timing on combos, pressing buttons really quickly in a short amount of time, and so forth. So if you can get that, surely you'll be pretty good at Dota. You just have to get these other things on the list as well. Number 2, game knowledge and strategy. This is the aspect of Dota that most people who say the quote that I'm criticizing are pretty good at. It's kind of their first line of defense for claiming that they're a good Dota player, and it certainly is an important one. I would never claim that it's not. It's really, really important, but it's a small part of a much larger picture, especially in terms of pubs. Being mechanically strong is one thing, but it's completely useless to be able to hit spells perfectly if you're always going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. If you're not capable of predicting where the next gank or teamfight is going to occur, then it's going to happen without you and your team's going to lose, no matter how great your mechanics are. Moreover, if you're not able to decide strategically where you should position your hero on the map to do your job, then the chances are that your team is not going to be getting anywhere near the maximum efficiency possible out of the map in that game. Because there's only 5 heroes and 1 hero taking safe farm from a hero who should be prioritized for safe farm can throw the entire balance out of whack. It's pretty typical for players who are only mechanically strong to look back at a game and think they played perfectly. And the thing is, mechanically, they probably did. But they may have actually been the reason that they lost the game, and that's why game knowledge and strategy is so damn important. Number 3, adaptability and ability to practice well. The ability to quickly learn heroes on reworks and patches is extremely important in this game. Dota changes so quickly that if you're slow, by the time you learn a hero, it will already have been nerfed. So the faster you are at specializing in OP heroes, the more you can abuse that window of time where the heroes are really, really broken. And the more ranks you're going to gain, the better matches you're going to get, the better practice you're going to get, the better practice with those heroes you're going to get, and you can kind of see where I'm going with this. It just kind of snowballs and you get really, really good really quickly. On a less meta note, adaptability is also important within a game of Dota because there are so many combinations and permutations of what can happen in the game that you'll need to be able to pick up items that you've never picked up before on a particular hero in order to win a certain game, or maybe you'll need to switch up what you're going to do in the team fights because somebody gets an item and you see it very quickly. There's a lot of adaptability potential in this game, even within the game. So in-game and out-of-game adaptability are both incredibly important in Dota. Number 4. Ability to remain calm under immense pressure. This is the one that I previously mentioned in my example and is something that I personally struggle with. Pressure in this game can quickly destroy my confidence and my concentration, so I can very quickly start looking like I should be legitimately 1000 MMR below where my rank sits right now. I swear to God, if I feel like I'm playing under a microscope, I play so bad, which causes people to flame me, which makes me feel like I'm playing under a microscope, and it is just a whole ordeal. In Dota, no matter if you're playing pubs, competitive, or with your friends, it's going to put you under immense psychological pressure. The fact of the matter is, Dota is a huge time investment. Games can take nearly an hour, so it feels really awful to lose. Moreover, the game is incredibly hard to learn, so it takes a huge amount of time investment just to get good enough at the game to even play ranked in the first place. So, in both the short and the long term, it's a big time investment. It takes a chunk out of your day and of your life. So there's no wonder that it can feel like the whole world is on your shoulders in a game of Dota. With that being said, people crack. They freak out, they grief, which leads to other people cracking. I heard an amazing quote from SVG, the captain of VGJ Storm, and he basically said that NA Dota is Arkham Asylum. It's a bunch of lunatics fighting each other over a scrap of meat, and everybody thinks they're the Batman. I think this can actually be extended to Dota players in general. It's just perhaps worse in NA Dota. So the more sane and calm you remain under pressure, the higher your rank will go. Number 5. Teamwork and communication. This is one that I was hesitant to put on here because I think it matters a lot less in pubs, since you're just being thrown into a group of random people you've never met before, but it's still so incredibly important and competitive that I felt I needed to mention it. There's no coincidence that every season there's a star-studded roster of amazing players that just do terribly. And then there's these random teams of pretty okay players that end up placing top 5 in the majors. Individual players matter a lot less than how the players actually mesh together. That much has been made abundantly clear in the past 5 years of Dota. And it makes sense. There's so much possibility for synergy between all of the hundreds of spells and items in Dota. And in an even more meta sense, there's a huge possibility for synergy in terms of strategy and positioning on the map, given different player playstyles and their ability to communicate what they're doing effectively to their team. The best teams will be able to make a lot happen on the map, not because they're doing any sort of black magic, but because their teammates are effectively communicating to them what they're doing and how the enemy team has to respond, and they can take advantage of that. Number 6, consistency and discipline. All of these skills are very important, but none are arguably as important as being able to maintain all of these things over a long period of time, which takes a huge amount of discipline. Motivation is fleeting and it's weak, and it's usually pretty clear when a player is motivated because they'll play really well, But discipline is something that you can always rely on, and it separates the greatest of all time from players that are just great at a particular point. In Dota, you can have a really great few days because of some sort of extraneous event that caused you to be motivated. But if you're a good player as the result of motivation, then that moment that you lose your motivation, you become a weak player. And that's a scary thought. These things need to be driven by discipline, or they're basically worthless. Because people are people. Let's be real. It's simply not possible to be motivated all of the time. I believe that would probably be considered some sort of borderline manic disorder anyway. So either way, it's important to find ways to train yourself to be good at these particular skills without having to rely on solely impulse. For example, if remaining calm in a game is your issue, then practice some sort of meditation or deep breathing between games and during pauses. If ability to practice well is an issue, then check out a player who's really good at practicing well, like Artesia or Eternal Envy. Check them out on Twitch and get an idea for what they do to practice. There's always something that you can do. Well, that's basically it. There's obviously a lot more to what makes a great player, because players are indeed people, and people are so obscenely complicated that one video cannot possibly include everything. But these are the ones that, in my opinion, are the most important in Dota. So the next time somebody flames you for losing the lane to them in Dota, but they end up losing the game anyway, remind them what it takes to actually be a good Dota player.